So welcome, everybody. God bless you for coming in any way you're here. I don't need to, let's say, bring the news, but I just want to make it obvious in some ways, because I think there's just parts of us that grasp for what happened or what's going on, these kinds of things. And so this was a resolution that the presidency, Jesus Garcia, Nathaniel Charette, myself, as we were anticipating this day, this moment, in the last few days, with everything that was going on, we wanted to communicate with you, to be with you, to fellowship immediately. So this is not meant to be the celebration or the memorial, however you would call that, for John Roger and his life. This is, in a way, just to get us through this moment, that we would want to respond, that we would want to come together. I'm sure I'm going to be doing more of that, which to me is entirely fitting. So of course, whatever moves you, I encourage it. It's been a really magnificent experience to be with JR. And so then you can extend that out however long that applies to you. And especially in the last few hours, it is a few hours. So to be exact, 2:49 a.m. Was the moment with those of us, and we made it a few on purpose, just to make it as simple, as peaceful, as beautiful in our level of support. And I just want you to consider that spiritually, of course, as I used the word this morning, there was legion. There was just tremendous presence. In some way have that experience to share for years and years. We are anticipating a great celebration. We haven't figured that out. And we just had one in Israel, which I know many of you participated in, either that you were there physically or online in the many ways that it was made available, the many sharings. So that indeed to me was something beautiful. I consider John Roger called it personally, that at whatever level he was orchestrating all this with Spirit through the Christ, that it continues to be a magnificent process. I'll just say some other things, just because I know at some level, people go crazy, like what happened or what was going on or any of that kind of thing. And but basically, pneumonia was an issue that picked up considerably after the Israel trip, and then at some point, JR needed to be in the hospital, and then at some point, it became rather obvious that his passing was likely. So we did our own version of a circle of light, which basically went into effect on Monday morning. And so basically, Paul, Mark, Vincent, Nat, myself, Jesu, and Nurse Nancy, along with magnificent support from the hospital where we had JR, just being as comfortable as possible. And I want to make it very clear that it was a very beautiful, easy, peaceful transition, as we would all if we had our wish, and I think in some way Jer at last got his wish. If any family Hinkins thank you, especially Delisle Nelda, for your magnificent love of J.R., Roger, and everybody else who loves Roger. Our love and support go to you at this time in any way. Please, if we can extend to you our honoring and love of your beloved Roger, we want to know how to in any way participate with you and come to you in any way. In between, you know, some of you have been contacting me with beautiful messages. Thank you. But I chose one in particular from someone who said they were awakened in the middle of the night by this repeated message, and they didn't at the time understand what it was about, and now they consider they do. I'm not trying to keep the name a secret, but I'll just figure that if they want to say who they are, they're welcome to do so whenever that happens. Here's the message. Today you are invited to your soul experience. And I consider that's something we've been invited to all along in our friendship and our relationship to John Roger, however long that's been. And that's obviously going to continue. One of the most magnificent aspects of Jared's life is how he passed along as much as we would allow or could allow in our capacity, which is still obviously in process. His gifts. So, you know, his gifts that make this church rich and alive in spiritual treasures, and something the world is yet to really fully discover, as we ourselves are in process fully discovering. He left this church, and I think in a majestic state. Certainly we were, and will continue to work through all of the things that brighten us, clarify us, to make us a golden chalice. So things are very much intact. Here at Prana, this was meant to be initially a staff meeting. So obviously it turned into something bigger than that. But also just a way of announcing, and as immediately as would practically work out, that we would come to our staff, and then we would come to the entire MSIA community immediately. You know, so that's what we're doing. There is a traveler here. I think that's been made clear long ago, and that's part of Jared's magnificent preparation and willing to pass on his gifts. So, you know, all of the work that he founded, he so beautifully established, that we're climbing the mountain to fully bring forward into the world. So that's something that will go on for as long as it is called for. And to me that means ad infinitum, eternally, that we're just basically bringing forward all these beautiful teachings. So that's intact, that's in place. And you know, what I would like us to do is basically, you know, do whatever we need to do to realize the impact that no matter what, I don't know how to really be prepared for. So I'm stunned, but I understand that's natural. It's exactly what I need to be right now in process. But meanwhile, we're in onward and upward mode. So we're very much in process. So those of you working with your initiations, etc., I just want you to know that you know, all of that is in process. That if you have questions and you have concerns, you know, bring it. You know, we're prepared to handle it. And JR made it clear that he would continue working with us spiritually. And you know, I think that's abundantly clear. And I just look at it like, continue to do your part in what that is, and the rest is taken care of spiritually. There's many of us here that will do what's needed in this world to assist you and support you. As far as things coming up, we have a harvest event. I've kind of forgotten the name of it, but I know it's tomorrow night, thank you. So, Harvesting Spiritual Blessings. That's on schedule. I fully intend to do what I signed on for. As part of the timing, we have a ministers' meeting this Sunday. These events will be broadcast online, so if you want to tune in to see what we're doing and what we have as further fellowshipping and bringing forward the celebration of John Rogers' life that continues. I'd like to take a moment here to just open it up. I know, Jesu, wherever you went, certainly including you, I don't know, is Nat here somewhere? There he is, thank you. And the presidency, if there's anything that you would like to share, I'm just going to open up the space because you know, we're witnesses, we're fresh with what just took place in you know, JR's liberation into what was stored up for him. Okay, and we also thank you, Phil, for reminding me. We have some things from. Did you want to come up? So we have some moments from JR that I intend to share with us. So I'm letting Phil know.
First off, John. Like John said, it was a beautiful moment. To me, it was very ordinary, and yet very extraordinary, just like JR's life. And, you know, I've seen so many things over the years, so many extraordinary things, but I was sharing with someone this morning that one of the more extraordinary things about JR to me is the moments of loving and touching that weren't the great miracles, the worm in the wall that takes down the wall, the, you know, moving an earthquake. And I mean, there's many of those, but then the things that got me were in the last year or so, you know, there's been some tough days for JR. And one of those particularly tough days, you know, I'm with JR, and he's sitting in his chair in the living room, and, you know, he's having a rough time, and he's like, come here. So I come over, and I'm like, yeah, JR. And he's like, how are you? And I'm like, you're asking me, how am I? I mean, JR, look at you. You're obviously I need to ask you, how are you? But that level of caring to me is what JR was about. Like, another example for me is, just me and him. I don't know, we were getting ready to go somewhere, and we're in a hotel room, and there's a maid making his bed, and he goes over and helps the maid make his bed in a hotel. And I'm like, who does that? And I mean, this is JR, and for me, it's like, wow. And then he's just willing to just bring that loving, and to me, that's the ordinary, yet it's so extraordinary. And then for me, today, I had this amazing experience. I was alone in my car, about to go in to eat something, and I was just crying. But as I pulled up, I saw this beautiful black man. I'm like, God, that looks like Jesus. I don't know why I thought that, but I'm like, wow, who is this guy? So I'm sitting there crying, and he's just kind of standing there looking in my car. And I'm like, what's this guy doing? And so finally, I'm like, I got to meet this guy. So I get out of my car, and I don't really say anything about what's going on. And he starts discoursing to me about how it's all about love, and you need to get through the sorrow, and you need to get through this time. And everything he was saying was rhyming too, and he started singing it. And I'm like, and he's going fast, and he's talking about, and then he starts talking about how the teachings of light only go so far, and then you have to get on the sound. And he's like, and I'm just like, I was just, and he was one of those guys, and I was like, I didn't know if he's like wealthy or homeless or what he is. And I'm just sitting there going, this is incredible. And I'm just like kind of laughing inside, walking away with a smile, because JR, it's, ha ha ha, JR, thank you. So those are the moments for me that I was just like in shock in a way. I mean, he was saying so much, so fast, rhyming it, talking about the realms of light, people like him come here to like open people's heart. He started talking about comfort zones and like how, people get in their comfort zones and you got to get out of the comfort zone. And I was just, it was like blowing my head up, and it was pretty amazing. So even in the midst of my sorrow, it's like that reminder. And finally I'm like, is there anything I can do for you? And he's like, I could use a little, help. So I just took all the money, and I happen to have a lot more money than I usually have in my pocket, hundreds. And I just was like, here you go, which gave it all. And that's what, I've seen Jared do that too. And it felt so good to give. I've seen Jared give those hundreds, and people just go, wow. So that's what I have to say about my beloved JR, who I miss dearly and will probably be crying for a while. But I'm so grateful. He's been wanting to do this for as long as I know, like, when's that window coming? It's been hard for him. But he's done it with such magnificence and grace and beauty and love. So, and he loved all of you, and you loved all of him, and it's like, there's just so much love. I mean, he's all of our Father. And I called Delisle this morning, Elda, and, she said that Delisle said, he's probably, hanging out with his mom and dad, and they're probably there, and I was like, yeah, you know what, you're probably right, a nice family reunion, because he did love his mother and father dearly. So God bless us all.
I could cry, but so I'll give you a couple highlights that are morbid and crazy on my end. I'm like Nat, I just cry in the corner. Now I cry to Nicole. So JR passed away, and I needed to watch TV with him one last time. So you guys have left. So I turned on CNN and Fox News, me and Nat, it's weird. But JR's, it's just the body, but I love the body. And so we watched CNN together. And I was flipping channels. I put the computer on his stomach. He isn't quite stiff yet. And I'm just loving his body. Like, I'm just digging it. Nat, where are you? So Nat was like right there. He's texting. We're on Facebook, popping photos. JR's not there. But he is there. And the thing that I want to get to is, you know, obviously, my responsibility is his body and where it's going to go and get the job done. So I have to focus, and that's what I'm doing. Then I'll cry later. But on the way to the hotel, I'm like, you know, I walk, you know. So I get to the hotel. I want to hang out with Nicole, but there's such joy in the room that it's crazy. So today's morning breakfast was with Eric, Raleigh, Kelly, Rick. Nat came by with Sahari. We all jumped in bed together. And Rick laid next to me. And Mark Harradine was there. And that, I realized, like, JR gave us all this love. And it was comforting for me this morning at the hotel. And I do remember just saying to JR, hey, I want to watch television with you one more time. And that was my experience. There's a lot of stuff that John covered that it's beautiful. And, you know, I feel the love. And I want to party like hell. And I want to celebrate my friend, your friend, my father.
Thank you, Jesu. Thank you, Nat. And of course, thank you, John. To watch Jesu and Nat in action these last few years with JR has been one of the more touching experience of devotion and dedication. And I don't know, it's just magnificent, so thank you. John Roger is going to leave a huge gap in all of our lives, and there's going to be a lot of tears. And I think we should all just let ourselves go, but to keep one thing in mind, that all of those tears that we cry will be tears of sweetness, and you can taste them because of the love that we share of this incredible man who lives on in our hearts. And let's not forget that he's always with us. He's here with us. He's inside of us. And on a real practical level, he made things so clear for us. He left us with a magnificent successor who he's trained for 25 years, an organization that is preserving his teachings and will continue to put them out there and make them available to those that are looking for them. But above all, he gave us an example that we could all absolutely follow about how to love. And when Jesus left us, he said, how will you know that you're my disciples, is the way that you love one another. And I think that if we're going to really honor John Roger and show our love for John Roger, we will indeed love one another as he loved us.
I'm Phil. Yeah, there it is. Thanks. Met JR in July of '71 in Berkeley, and I think since I've known John Roger, he wanted to get out of here. So on that level, I am very happy for him. And three things popped in my head. One is he walks in the kitchen one day. I'm doing my sort of processing my karma in my mind thing. He walks in the kitchen and he goes, "You don't fit, and you'll never fit." And it still obviously sticks in my brain. And I sat there and I went, he's totally right. But I fit great with myself. And I so appreciate that. And then another day, I'm helping him in the car. This is years later. I'm helping him in the car. I've said nothing. He looks at me and he goes, you can be fearful or you can be bright. And these have been guiding lights for me. And then, did you guys ever go? We used to go to mental physics up in near Joshua Tree. So we were doing a workshop or something there, and the food was not particularly good. And so I was doing sound, and you weren't supposed to leave the property, and I was like, I gotta get some protein. I just gotta get some food. So I hop in the car and I run down the road, and there's a Denny's, and I pop in the door and the counter's open, and I go, there's just one person there, and I go, great. I go up, I sit down, the waitress comes over, I go, steak and eggs, black coffee, sourdough toast. Thank you. Bam! There's John Rogers sitting right there. And so it was just part of that magical thing where I said, Jerry, I didn't even see you. He said, well, I had the cloak around me, you know, and it was like, I just thought it was this old dude sitting in the corner. And it's just that thing, just that impishness that I completely love and that I wanted to share. That it's not that I'm not sad. I thank JR for the long, slow fade for me, because I've had ample time to grieve over the last number of years. And I'm just so thankful for that. It wasn't just some, you know, quick thing. It was just, I mean, even though it was like when it came, when I got the news, it was just like, yeah, I've known this day is going to be here. And the first thing out of my mouth was, thank you, JR.
Come here.
I don't know what to say other than I just love everybody here so much. I love you, Jesus. Thank you. And Nat and John and what I've been privileged to witness in the presidency. It's who we are. And I said to John this morning, I don't think Onwards and Upwards has ever looked so good because of how JR has prepared us to take these teachings and to be the fullness of who we are, which is loving and service. And it's been a privilege to be holding these days, to experience that even not being physically present, and I think this is for all of us, that he is so present. It's like, oh my God. And he had told me a few years ago, John was on a trip and JR said, come up and have dinner. And somehow by circumstance, I got to sit in the living room with him till 4 or 5 in the morning. And we were talking about death. And if I died first, what would it be like? And if he passed first, what would it be like? And I just remember him saying to me, many things, but the one thing I took so deep is when I'm liberated from my body, I'll be closer to all of you than I've ever been closer while I've been in the body. So, God bless us all. I love you. We're in it together. Thank you, John.
Phil, so you have something, I mean, we might as well take advantage of Phil's lifetime of experience of listening to JR over and over, and so he selected some things to share with us for this occasion.
My job is to keep pumping the soul energy, so full of energy that you get a soulic movement. The soul moves, you go, what was that? That is terrific. Oh my God, I want that. And joy springs up. That's my job. When you come to the end of your intention on this planet, you die. If you come to the end and you get a new intention, you get regenerated. Something new starts out down here and is grafted on, and you start a whole new thing. We're an ingraftation onto this planet, according to the Spirit. We don't belong here spiritually. We're engrafted into the body. That's why we have a hard time making this body do what we want it to do according to our intention, because our intention only functions in the Spirit. Angels of light are for you. You'll see them inside along the way. These ones out here are often masquerading as God's angels, and they're the angels of darkness. And they have a different God that leads them, if you will. And he's known as Lucifer or Satan or the devil. And even Lucifer can come as an angel of light. But he cannot come as a resurrected Christ, nor can he come as God, nor can he come as the Holy Spirit. But if you're being stupid, he'll track you down these other ways and take you to task. Neither can he do soul transcendence, and he quakes when you chant your tone. And when they show up and you chant your tone and challenge them, they leave. You have a formidable weapon. You have a very powerful one. If I knew of a more powerful one, I would tell it to you. And so I will tell it to you. Love them all. My God, just love them all. For they all came out of God. And they all are, some way or another, our brothers and our sisters. They are our kin. But they're just not who we're associating at this particular time. They're just not who we're playing with in this particular game. One day, and that's not ours to decide, they will make their turn. Some are on the centrifugal force out, and others are on the centripetal force back in. Just because you see them in there doesn't mean they're going in. They could be on their way out. Keep your mind focused on where you're going. You've been told the information. It's been dialogued to you. I've yelled it at you. I've joked it to you. I've laughed at it. I've told jokes about it. Written books about it. My God, I've taken my pants down about it. I'm trying to let you know that there is nothing more important on this planet than that. Nothing. Not even your newborn baby that's coming in, or the new boss that's coming in, or the new husband or wife, or the new home. There is nothing more important, because those may all pass away. You can have a miscarriage, you can get divorced, you can get fired from your job, and you will still be you, left with you. My God, make that a wonderful you. Put yourself in that place where there's joy in there. And when you stop to listen, you hear yourself singing cute little songs to you. I love you, a bushel and a peg, a bushel and a peg, and a hug around the neck. A hug around the neck. Not a bushel, 4,000 bushels. I love you, I love you, a bushel and a peck. Well, you see, you can't do it what you can't say. So you come back and the intent of it follows. And that intention that we're dealing with is God. And once we line our intention with that intention, we merge. And we do become God-men, or the divine here, the conductor, the transformer, the translator of the divine message of not one soul will be lost. Out of God comes all things. God loves all of its creation, and that includes every one of us. Shed your light. Don't force it on anyone. And here, go for health, wealth, and happiness. Go for that. How do you go for it? Put your eyes on what you see that is happy. Your feet will walk to it. That'll be your wealth. And what you do with it will be your health. So what you put your eyes on is very important. And your feet will walk where you look. And you'll get involved with where your feet take you. So you can be healthy, wealthy, and happy. And have prosperity and abundance and riches and tithe. And seed. And give back to the source, because God is a giving creator. And you are creators. And give. Yeah, I'm telling you, give as part of your creativity. To give. And to seed for the next harvest. And to do that. And to do that with the willfulness that the harvest will come in. Some of you people have planted 100-year trees. You didn't know it. It's going to take 100 years before they get a pine nut on it. In the meantime, buy some and eat them. And then touching, loving, and caring. But most of all, if you don't do the sharing of all of that, then it has been nothing for you. I come to you all the time, rather regularly. Health hasn't been real well. It's not getting better. But I'm still going to make the effort to share as much as I can, to open and let Spirit flow through, to take its direction when it tells me these things they must hear. I tell them to you. Sometimes they say, no, louder. Somebody's sleeping. They're on the front row, but yell. And I yell, they go, whoa, whoa. They're awake, now you can slow it down a bit. And then they also say, tell them, do not forget you are loved, because you are divine. Very special.
I'm sure all of us are going to continue to pull up our experiences that are live and also in reflection. It seems like almost an eternity, but it was yesterday the primary doctor for JR's care in the hospital came into our room. And essentially, I think one of the ministries that they had, and there was a lot of help, a lot of special help in the most professional way, was to communicate to us, what the body was telling them, that their ministry is directly to that. And basically, it was get ready, this is imminent. And then he was looking at, the six of us there, just sitting in the room, and he made a comment that there's an amazing presence here, and he wanted to know more. And he was making his rounds, but he was in there for, I'd say, a good half hour. And we had him laughing and, telling him, our individual stories of who John Roger is. And he really got taken up by it, literally. And it was one of those beautiful moments of who is this man that has been in our midst and then continues to be in our midst, as Lee was told, that in an even greater presence. And I'm claiming that for all of us. It's just beginning. This is a new day, a new dawning, and let's consider we were all prepared perfectly for it in the way that Paul was reminding us that we're to love one another. That's going to be the mark, the biggest mark, in the way that we share that and demonstrate that. So my intention is to pick it up. It's just a very moving experience to expand my loving and to take it into new levels. And those words we just heard from John Roger. Love them, love the worst of them. Love the most disturbing. That's what we've been in some way called into, first of all in ourself, to make friends with ourself, so that there's nothing that holds us into the attachments and the negativity of this world. And so I just look at John Roger spiritually, and I invite you to have the look, to see the radiant form, however you are aware of that, and to understand that it is in a more majestic, more powerful presence for all of us. And I consider that he did pick up directly on what Jesus established and his invitation to come to the place that's prepared, and that we can go. That's what this invitation has been in his life and all the things that he has been doing. My experience in the last few days has been that he's been doing whatever was necessary to complete what he came here to do, and to expand it, beyond anything that we consciously know. And so there is something that's there for each one of us to discover the gift of John Roger's life that's being given now, that's being presented to each one of us, that it's at hand, it's in reach, it's inside, it's in the way we love one another. And that's my intention, is to make this church a beautiful demonstration of the majesty, the beauty, the grace, the love of John Roger's life. I call all of us into that invocation. Please, in your own way, right now, open your heart, open your soul, and to the gift and the presence that you know personally with John Roger, your friend, our beloved. However, we all have been touched. That blessing of touching, that we're being touched right now, embraced in it with the Christ Jesus, that's also so fully present in all of this. And to open it up, there's plenty of room for us to be silly, to have great party. I'm sure we're going to make an effort to bring that forward as well, JR. And as I was reminded yesterday, I love you with all my heart and soul. And I invite you in that loving to touch to you, to reach to you, to expand spiritually, that we ask God's grace, God's celebration, that we're in that with you all the way. And we accept that invitation to come be with you. The place is prepared. Beirish Beshan. Okay. God bless you all. We'll see you again tomorrow or sooner.
So thank you very much indeed, John. The blessing of this home of the traveler that we're in at this time is that we can find rest here in the presence of the beloved, in the presence of the Christ. Please feel free to hang out, meditate, walk the labyrinth, enjoy the gardens. We have some food for you. I don't know when that's coming up or being served, but it will be. And let's make this day a celebration of this great joy. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, all of you online, that you can join us in your own way. God bless you all. Thank you. I'll while John leaves us, let's just chant some Anai Hughes and just make this an inner time for us. Anai.
I love to walk along these mountain paths, find a way to reach the sea. I remember how you used to laugh as we go running, dancing in the breeze. What was it ever made me leave? I can see you standing by the ocean shore, looking deep beneath the waves. All the world was passing, and your feelings reflection was captured in your face. For just a moment of your grace, and you can always be found entertaining angels that had fallen to the ground. But what's lost will come around again in time. I swear I shall be found. You wear your wisdom in a simple way. It's never given just for show. If I hadn't seen the price you paid, I would never even know the life that follows me go. carry me home. For I'm tired of this life alone. You always call me when I've given all my love away. I find your ocean in its place. By loving you, I find your grace. I love to sail upon these gentle seas. Take my guidance from the clouds. I will sail forever until I reach your horizon. I'll listen for your sound. For I loved you then, and I love you now. I loved you then, and I love you now.
Hey everybody, just to let you know that lunch will be served at 1 o'clock and it is $8. And I think there's some coffee and tea out there right now, so enjoy.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Carol.
Gather round, my true loves. It's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true loves. It's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true loves. It's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true love. It's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true love. It's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. True loves, it's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true loves, it's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true loves, it's so nice to be with you. We're singing a new song, and love is bringing it to you. Gather round, my true loves. It's so nice to be with you.